Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We are officially on episode 11 of our 13-part series on Brian Tracy's Focal Point. And if you've been with us for the last 10 sessions, we've been absolutely obsessed with personal optimization.
Yeah, we really have.
We've covered your health, your time, your efficiency. It's been all about you. But today, Tracy pulls the emergency brake.
It's a hard pivot. We're shifting gears entirely from the internal, the how do I get better stuff to the external. How do I make my community better?
Which is honestly a bit unexpected for a productivity book.
Right, yeah.
I mean, usually this is the chapter where the author says, okay, once you're a billionaire and have zero inbox, then you can write some checks.
Exactly. But Tracy argues that contribution isn't the finish line. It's actually the fuel.
That is the key distinction right there.
It is. And to prove it, he doesn't cite a CEO or a banker here. He actually cites Viktor Frankl.
Oh, the psychiatrist who wrote Man's Search for Meaning.
Yes.
That is a heavy reference for a business strategy guide.
It really is, but it's completely necessary to set the stakes. Frankl survived the Nazi concentration camps, and his core insight was that the primary drive in human nature isn't pleasure and it isn't power. It's meaning.
Wow.
Yeah, he found that survival often hinged on being connected to a cause bigger than oneself.
So the argument is that you can't actually reach peak performance just by focusing on your own efficiency. You basically hit a ceiling unless you look outward.
Precisely. You need that psychological anchor. Tracy frames this through the concept of legacy, but he flips the traditional definition.
Right, because most people think legacy is what people say at your funeral.
Exactly. But Tracy says legacy is a living thing. It starts with your values right now.
It's an identity issue. You have to decide, I am a person who stands for X.
And that variable X needs to be emotional. Tracy asks you to strip away the shoulds and ask what moves you. Not just what is a worthy cause, but what makes you angry, what makes you weep.
I love that distinction. It really differentiates between a generic good deed and a true mission. Because if you don't have that visceral reaction, whether it's about illiteracy or local parks, you just won't have the stamina to stick with it when it gets inconvenient.
Passion is the only thing that sustains the effort. Tracy actually says passion allows you to go great distances. Once you identify that emotion, he suggests a visualization technique, basically defining your perfect world.
I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go ahead.
This sounds a bit like daydreaming. How does imagining utopia help me on a Tuesday morning?
It's actually a strategic gap analysis. If you can clearly articulate what a perfect world looks like regarding your specific cause, you can work backward. You can see the gap between reality and your vision, and then identify the specific skills or knowledge you need to close it.
Oh, I see. So it turns a fantasy into an actual project plan?
Exactly.
Okay, so we have the motivation and the vision. Let's get to the tactics. Tracy uses the word tithing, which traditionally means giving 10% of your income.
He does use that term, but he expands it significantly. Writing a check is great, and if you have the means, you should treat it like an investment. Vet the organization and ensure the ROI is there.
Always investigate the organization before you invest, right?
Absolutely. But Tracy argues that tithing your time and talent is often way more valuable than just giving money.
Which brings us right back to the productivity theme of this series. Because for most high performers, finding time is harder than finding money.
That's why his biggest actionable takeaway here is non-negotiable. Schedule your contribution.
Just treat it like a dentist appointment.
Treat it exactly like that. If it's not on the calendar, it's just a nice intention. We treat work meetings as holy, but volunteering gets the scraps of our time. Tracy argues you need to block out that hour for mentoring or that Saturday for the food bank with the exact same rigidity you apply to a board meeting.
That aligns perfectly with everything else we've learned in Focal Point. If you don't manage the time manages you.
And that leads us directly to his most powerful advice for this session. Tracy is very urgent here. He says, regarding your good intentions, do it today, do it now.
The ultimate antidote to the someday syndrome.
We all plan to give back when we settle down or when we make a certain amount of money. Tracy is saying that legacy is determined by the action you take today, not the plan you have for tomorrow.
A strong reminder that later is a dangerous word. Take a look at your calendar for next week. If there isn't a block dedicated to that perfect world you visualized, put it in there right now.
Such great advice. Thanks for listening to this one, everyone.
And if you're getting value from this breakdown, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss episode 12. We are closing in on the end of the book, and you really won't want to miss the finish. See you next time.